All right. How's everybody doing today? I went and got all the footage together and prepared us something to be viewing today. All right, let me just add this in here. That ought to do it. See if it'll work. Okay, I gotta switch it again. Let's try different application here. Oh, there we go. Now it's back. See if I can go full screen now. Wait. All right, we're ready to go. All right, without further ado, here we go. Now why am I not getting any audio here? Back here. Set properly. Oh yeah, you know what? I remember why. Okay, so I'll just play a little bit of some of the caster stuff here. All right, guys. Okay, so it starts out. I'm in a different plane this time. A different flying club. Trying them out, see how they were. Didn't really like the airplane, to be honest, but that's another story for later. So plane's got some serious visual appeal, that's for sure. It's got a really nice paint job on it because it's new, but the plane itself is pretty old and worn out. Tried to sync up the footage as best I could here too. So the dashboard camera here, that is an Amcrest, and I've been meaning to do a review on that. But as you can see, the color profile is extraordinary. So is the clarity. These are both filming at the same resolution, but you can just tell how much sharper and better the image is on the Amcrest. So anyways, this is runway 10 out of Centennial. So it's the short runway that's you know, almost perpendicular to the other set. Now I did have the Amcrest this time set up without audio, mainly because I figured that I was going to get footage from both the GoPro and the Amcrest. Unfortunately, I had to throw away almost all of the GoPro footage because it was really washed out at times. So like this is some of the only footage I ended up getting out of it. It was just so much lighting issues, even with the settings and the exposure value way down and all that. It just really got in the way. Okay, so the route of the flight was from Centennial, GPS direct to Kit Carson and back. Unfortunately, we ended up hitting some weather and diverted to Lyman. And you'll get to see that here in a little bit. Excuse me, I haven't ate all day, so get some dinner in as well. I'll mute the mic for Mercy. So seeing this footage now in a full screen, I can definitely tell you that there's one thing I also hate about action cameras. That's it's hard to tell it what to focus on because you don't really have the control that you do with a DSLR. In this situation here, I really wanted it to focus on the panel, and you know, everything else is fine to be out of focus. But that's not what happened. It focused on the back of my head. So you end up with this. I mean, I guess overall the footage doesn't look terrible, but it could be better. Anyway, here you can see the vertical speed indicator almost just barely above 0, and I'm sitting there at 65 knots trying to climb out. The plane had a really hard time climbing in density altitude. And it might also be just that, you know, the plane's kind of old. There's a lot there that prevented it from climbing like it should have. Yeah, I'm pitched at VX, kind of chugging along there. On the YouTube cut of this, I've cut a lot of this footage down shorter, and I'm still working on that cut of it. It's a lot of work getting all the videos synced up and everything. This is just a quick compilation that I was able to put together for the stream. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I can get that camera back on. Hate it when it does this. I may switch over to a different camera if I can't get this one to function properly, but I really hope it does, because I like this setup a little better. Okay. Back on. 5 o'clock somewhere. Anyhow, looks like I was adjusting the mixture a few minutes ago. Oh, my birds are calling. Literal birds. Not too much. How about that? That's better. Yep, there we go. Anyhow. This cut of the GoPro footage is actually a lot longer than I thought it would be. Probably gonna go back and try and enhance this a little bit before I release the YouTube cut. Oh yeah, so very funny here. That vent is falling apart. So, oh man, let me get the mic closer to me so you guys can hear a little bit better. So, the plane's old, all right? And the thing about these Skyhawks is that they can be quite janky sometimes, as you can see. So here, I decided to show my daughter a turning maneuver. And so I went with a nice shallow turn initially so I could clear the area, make sure there's no traffic around me, which I'm in eastern Colorado. There's barely any at my altitude. Anything nearby would be real high up, commercial traffic. And here I think I'm at 9 or 5, it looks like 9 or 6, and just kind of going up and down there. Yeah, so just doing a shallow 360-degree turn before I go into a steep turn. Yep, there she is attempting to film. We go in for the steep turn there. Just a 45-degree bank. And there you have it. 360 degree, 45 degree bank angle turn. And I think I was looking for GoPro controls here. One of the major downsides about the GoPros as well now is that on the app they've eliminated the ability to use all the pro functions. So adjusting colors, things like that, no longer valid. Another reason why I'm really liking the Amcrest camera, it was cheaper. It fits all of the GoPro accessories I have, which is nice. Well, you have more control over the camera from your phone than you do with the GoPro now. So if you're looking for a good action camera, the Mcrest actually works really well. Again, you can see here, this is the GoPro. I have that mounted to the ceiling. And as you can tell, the colors are a little flat. Oh, hang on. There you go. Now they can go up there. This is what happens when you have birds. This is Luna. She is a really sweet bird. If only you guys could see the other bird right now. Her name is Sol, and she's on the camera right now, playing with it. Oh, Luna, that was my eyeball. Thank you. And that's Sol. She's the hyper one. All right, so a little bit of a weather synopsis here. Now, actually, let me just go grab my iPad real quick here. I'll be right back. Luna, excuse me, lady. That's right. Oh, yep, you wanna, ow, wait, oh, she likes to preen my beard. You satisfied now? I'll be right back. Okay. Here, baby. Oh, yep, she just wants to hang out back there. Oh, I just can't even see her. There's her tail right there. Hey, baby. Oh, man, the camera dipped again. Stand by. Luna. There we go. Okay. So, just a lot of really good cross-country footage here. Nothing incredible about it. Oh, boy. Is he? Oh, wait. Okay. No, she's good. She just, she jumped on the microphone to climb up onto my face. You can tell that she's a daddy's girl. She's obviously a mommy's girl. Yeah. I especially love the dead bug right in the smack dab center of the screen there. That's useful.
Headshot.
Did she fly over to you? Okay. Alright. I didn't see where she went after that. Yeah. Okay, so the birds have paid a visit and they've decided to leave. They heard the food coming. Okay, it looks like I'm starting my secondary climb here. So I'm kind of leaving that Class B airspace for DIA. As you get further out, the airspace gets higher. It's like an upside down wedding cake. So we're in that next tier. I believe the floor of the Class B airspace here is about 8,000. Oh, no, sorry. That's in the first tier. Second tier, we're at 10,000. Anyhow, pull out the iPad here. And I shall show you all the kind of weather. Now, I'll get to that part of the stream when we get to it. Save it. Let's see, let's go to maps. Okay. So I'm pulling up the iPad now. Okay. Kit Carson was the airport I flew to. Currently, right now in the footage, I'm probably somewhere around here. Now, this little magenta line, I'll explain later as well, but I had to take a quite indirect way of getting back home. I was almost as far south as Colorado Springs to get around the weather. Not sure what happened there, but we go. From X-Plane. I wonder what happened to the first track. All I'm seeing is this one. And interesting. I'm missing a track log. Oh, I see why. Right, because I wasn't using the iPad really till that point. Oh, so here's the steep turn again from the other camera angle. I see what I did here. I'm gonna have to synchronize those YouTube cut so I can put both up. I shaved quite a while off the footage for the YouTube cut. Anyway, so I can definitely tell you where I'm at now if it's on the track log. That one. Nah, it doesn't look like it shows it. A shame. That's all right. Yeah, it looks like I could have done a better job with the retouching on this footage here. The colors. See that half the sky is kind of washed out. I can fix that in post-processing. Oh, hey, how's it going? Now this is live footage actually. So this is real life. Okay, here's some footage from the DSLR. Go ahead and shut off the iPad's feed here. Yes, yep. I am a private pilot. Up until recently I was working on my instrument rating. So here, I thought this would just be kind of cool as a quick little shot. But yeah, I was pretty close to that cloud there, so I decided to get a good clip of it. And up ahead, you can see that there's some thunderstorms. There's 1, 2, 3. There's a big one right there. 4, 5. There's isolated thunderstorm cells out there. Honestly, I like X-Plane better. Flight Sim, Microsoft Flight Simulator, doesn't work with some of the peripherals I have. For example, I have the SATEC throttle prop mixture in Cessna style. They discontinued that. SATEC did when they were bought out by Logitech. And unfortunately, Microsoft Flight Sim is not going to support it. which means it becomes a useless brick. So that's one reason. The other is that Microsoft Flight Sim feels more arcade-like. They may have worked really hard on the flight model, but for me, there's something about it that doesn't really fit into the type of simulation I do, which is specifically to train and to learn and to perfect my skills. Oh, there goes the camera again. Let's just fix that. There we go. Okay. So anyway, yeah, that's that. All right, so off in the distance, there's Kit Carson, kind of in the lower left corner of the screen there, the airport I'm landing at. Right around this time, I was telling my daughter during the flight that I was kind of glad that we didn't end up going further towards Kansas, specifically because of all the weather in that area. You can see it all. We're behind a frontal line. I don't think I can pull up the synopsis anymore, but basically right on the border of Kansas and Colorado, there was a frontal system pushing everything eastward, and that's where the weather happens. On that frontal zone there, you have a low pressure and high pressure front meeting each other, and one's going to push the other one away. And what happens is that moisture comes up, it rises vertically. That's how you get these thunderstorms. All that moisture and air gets pushed vertically and creates the development that it needs. All right, there's me cutting back the throttle. I flew a little past the center line because I wanted to show this. I'm glad that we actually got this footage here. Let me try and rewind it just a little bit here. Oh, wobbly camera effect. There we go. Okay, so those of you guys who have been on the stream before and know me, I, by trade and career, am a truck driver. I wish I could become a commercial pilot, but the money's just not there. But you can see here that this is Burlington, Colorado, right? And I frequent this truck stop right here all the time as I pass through. It's one of the last opportunities to stop before you cross the state line. And then there's a whole lot of nothing for quite a while. So it's a good place to stop, take a quick break, use the restroom, that sort of stuff before you get out of town. About 4 hours by car here to Denver. And there is eastern Colorado, flat as a pancake. The highway down there, that's Interstate 70. gonna skip a little bit of this footage here. There we go. All right, there's the final approach. Unfortunately, I mean, if it was me using the camera, I probably would have zoomed out to a full field of view because it gets a little trippy when you're zoomed in like this and moving very fast. You can see here that it actually looks like everything's moving slower than it is. I think this is the same stuff, but from a different camera angle here. Going for the descent. This is the interior of the plane, showing another angle for that cockpit. I always like flying up at real high altitude. Usually go as high as I can. A lot of reasons for it. Not just safety margin, but visibility. The temperature is so much cooler. It was about 65 degrees up at 10,000 feet versus down at the ground where it was 80. So it's hard to stay cool in an airplane in the middle of summer on the ground without any motion. Even when you are moving, the air is just so darn hot. You feel it as you descend with these planes. You can just feel that heat come in afterwards. It's Okay, let me click here. All right, yep. So just kind of following the highway here as a VFR pilot would. I'll turn the camera back on here in a minute. Okay, so let's see if I can get this camera back online here. I gotta go stand up away from my chair here and go play with the plugs for a second here. So enjoy the footage for a moment. Okay, so I'm back. Camera's driving me nuts, man. I may end up switching over to my old camera just to keep things going. That's better. Okay. So anyway, here I believe I'm still following the highway. Up in front, I believe, is the town of Burlington. Pull out the iPad again here. Okay, so here's an image of kind of where we are here. Town of Burlington up at the top. Kit Carson down here. Yep, and then the highway, obviously. Let's see where. Pull out the pen again. All right, the highway's right here. So I'm kind of flying along right here. Just like in a car, you try and stay to the right side of the highway as much as you can. And here I intentionally put it on the passenger side for my cameraman, my daughter. Yeah, so she got to film the last footage you just saw, which still worked, but it was okay for some of it. I liked it. Alright, take away the iPad now. I think we all have an idea of what's going on here. Now one thing, flying in the summer is tough because it's very hot out, which makes your takeoffs longer. It makes your climbs slower, and it's really uncomfortable for the passengers, but there's additional things. Electronics tend to overheat in the airplane until you get up to altitude and everything, calms down and cools off a little bit. That was one issue I was having, is that the iPad was overheating. And so it was off quite a bit. But, you just fall back to those basic VFR skills. And like for me, I followed the highway and I used my eyes, looked outside the airplane. All right, let's see. There we go. Okay. Anyway. There's Kit Carson. Now, I intentionally kind of overshot the final because I was overflying the town of Burlington for the footage, really. You know, and here I don't have the audio track in this cut. It'll be in the YouTube cut, but it is such a pain to synchronize the video and the audio. It takes forever because I have to find all the spots, you know, and line them up with the footage and everything. It's a lot of work. And there's really just no other way to do it but to see what you're doing, you know, watch for moving lips and find the audio track that fits it. Anyhow, here I'd be making my call outs. I think, you know, I called out a base to final turn, all that stuff. The approach end. I think this airport have a localizer or something. I think it does actually. I don't look at the approach plates here in a second. All right, here we are over runway 15. Pick that nose over with the rudder. Picking it up now. Bit of a windy gust there, kind of pointed the nose a little bit. Here I'm just floating. Actually, no, I think I touched down. Geez, the landing was barely noticeable. Came on down. Boop. Having flown in like a month, that was a pretty good landing. And again, like I said, this footage is from the Amcrest camera, and I feel like the footage is so much better out of the Amcrest. Here's the DSLR, my Nikon. Just the D3200, so kind of a budget camera, but again, I mean, if it was focused properly for this, it would be really great footage. I think it's gonna end up being taken out of the final YouTube cut. Now, as I'm heading back west, you can see I've got a bit of an issue. Look at all those clouds off in the distance. So I've got a frontal passage behind me creating thunderstorms, and I think what was causing them along the front range was lifting action from the mountains. So we had some late afternoon thunderstorms develop right over top of the airport I needed to land at. Which led to a diversion to Lyman. I hung out there for about 2 hours waiting for the storm to kind of clear up so that I could get through, and I got some really awesome footage of that. Here I was just having a little bit of fun with the camera. I was leaning the mixture. As you can see, if you go too lean, the engine drops off there. Now this airplane had me a little worried at first because the oil pressure gauge is like at the bottom of the green arc. But this plane's temperamental, and it's just like that. The gauges aren't very accurate. Neither are the fuel gauges either, so you really got to be on top of your fuel management skills. In this case, I'm leaning to 50 degrees rich of peak. You can see that in the EGT valve, or EGT gauge right over here on the lower right-hand corner. I don't know if it's getting the cursor on the stream, but that gauge right there is really important to getting the proper mixture at altitude. Because up at this high, the engine needs to be leaned out quite a bit. having a little bit of fun with the camera again, getting a rear shot there. Kind of giving it a little bit of a climb and then a pitch down, just for some motion. You know, I was looking to collect footage on this flight, mainly because a lot of it I'll probably end up using for all kinds of stuff. All right, so I guess this footage is out of place, but this this is back at Kit Carson taxiing. I must have stopped the recording and then started it back up again for the taxi. Really, it's a nice airport. I mean, look at this taxiway. It's almost pristine. Looks like I need to do a little bit of work on the color profile on this image here. So for the YouTube cut, I'll be doing a little bit more post-processing to clean up the color here. It looks a little oversaturated. But yeah, again, this camera just does way better than the GoPro. Now, mind you, I'm shooting with a Hero 4 because I'm on a budget. You know, I'm up to like the Hero 8 or something like that. But the thing is that, like, with the lack of control I have, I mean, the GoPro probably could shoot better film. But given that they changed the app and removed all sorts of functionality from it, it becomes very difficult to do so without sitting there with the camera all the time and adjusting it by the camera. You know, which is cumbersome. There's 3 buttons, and you know, if you mess up, you have to start all over again, and it's really time consuming and not really appropriate to use when you're busy trying to manage everything else that's going on. So thankfully, Amcrest does give you that kind of. And the GoPro, I mean, you saw the footage. The rest I had to throw out, unfortunately. I may try and do a little bit of post-processing on it before I delete it. See if I can clean up some of it and use it for something. But I'm pretty sure that most of what I tossed out yesterday during the splicing process, I just can't use. So here I've stopped shy of the runway so that I can do a run-up. Because of such a big change in altitude from where I was during cruise, the ground, I wanted to make sure that mixture was set properly before takeoff. So I just went ahead and did another run-up. Now, for all you guys that are really big into the flight simulation, it's a really good time to start practicing those decision-making skills that you would use in a real airplane. Or if some of you guys are just there for the simulation, it's still good to learn, because those skills will make you better at whatever it is you're aiming to do in aviation, whether it's the flight sim community, which, by the way, guys, as a flight simmer myself and somebody who's been doing it since I was just a little kid, I can tell you that there's a lot that transfers over. A lot of that skill set from the sim has kept me sharp throughout the years and enabled me to, you know, fly at the level I do. And so I really encourage you, whether you're aspiring to be a pilot or just looking to enjoy the sim, start treating it like it's real and practice the things that you would be doing in the actual airplane. All the time on my X-Plane streams, on the flight sim streams, you know, I'm practicing the short field takeoff procedures, I'm practicing short field landings, soft field procedures, stalls, turns around a point. Some things I've been adding because I'm working on my commercial is the precision approaches, where you overfly the runway and do a 360 turn and land on it, that sort of stuff. Power outs, all that stuff. Very useful, and it can be practiced in the sim. You know, just what, 3-4 days ago, I had a stream and did a simulated engine failure right over the Rockies. No airports nearby, and got the plane landed on the highway. I-70, just, you know, to see if I could do it. So really, I mean, there's certain things that can help you, you know, especially failure drills. The scan that you'll get in the flight sim is no different than the scan you'll be using when you're flying on instrument. So, you know, practicing there really helps you grasp the concept and master it before you even get into the instrument rating stuff. And then you can focus on the actual skills and procedures that are followed by the instrument rating to help you get there faster. Okay, so we've taken off. Climbing out, just barely. Again, the heat was really bad that day. I mean, it was hot. So the density altitude made this plane kind of gutless. This is I think like a 1970s Cessna 172, and they do have the upgraded exhaust. So supposedly it has 180 horsepower, but it didn't feel like it. I know that at the other flying club I was at, the planes climbed better and performed better than this one did. This thing just felt gutless. It felt like I was cruising way slower, and overall it was just difficult to handle compared to the more powerful, you know, early 2000s, late 90s Cessnas that the other place had. And up we go. I know I'm creating a lot of commentary about the footage itself. And if you guys aren't really big into cinematography or cameras and whatnot, that's fine. But yeah, I tend to do that a lot. Oh, here we go. Got here. Make a route between Rock and Boeing 737 and A320. 13-minute flight. Rock is 39 the length of the runway. It is 9882. Both airplanes do not have automatic landing. Real weather possibility of rain and crosswind. Knots 2 to 4 knots. That's between. So a steady wind of 2 to 4 knots with gusts 40 to 50. That does sound interesting, and I might take you up on that. You know what? Hit the follow button, all right? And next time I stream on X-Plane, we're doing it. How about that? And hello, Sarah Line. The main airport's in Costa Rica, huh? Is that the kind of weather you guys have down there? Just steady wind at like 4 or 5 miles an hour, and then just boom, a gust smashes the plane sideways? It's variable. Yeah, okay, yeah. Where I live, We have two adjacent states to us. There's that camera again giving me trouble. I'll have to figure that out at some point. Anyhow, I have two states adjacent to me that are known for really violent wind conditions. And there's a big factor as to why I don't fly in those states. There's Wyoming and there's Nebraska. Winds are regularly above 20 knots and frequently above 40. It can be treacherous to drive in, and it can be treacherous to fly in or land in. There's the mountains and volcanoes. Yep, we got the mountains here. We got 14,000 foot tall peaks here. So mountain flying in the Rockies is no joke. And Benjamuzi, this is a bit late, but thank you very much for the follow. I really appreciate it. You're helping the channel grow. Yeah, yep. Here in the Colorado area, turbulence is pretty much common year-round. Pretty much always got an air met tango out for moderate turbulence. It's just, it's the nature of weather we have here. All right, so with this footage, you know, just on a cruise right now, nothing really going on, but you can start to see in the distance as we get closer, there's definitely a storm front out there. And these are the type of things you watch for while you're flying. VFR, IFR doesn't matter. You should be looking out for the weather. All right, everybody. Looks like one of my parrots has come to visit me again. This is Sod. We have another parrot named Luna. This one's the hyper one. Very playful. Very social too. She loves people. Anyhow, you can see a little bit of these puffy cumulus here. I was hoping this is all I was really going to encounter during the flight. What you see in the center there. But it happens here, those late afternoon thunderstorms. There's a lot of vertical development that comes from a hot summer day with the right humidity. Not to mention the fact that I'll have to check the synopsis, but I believe I'm on the low pressure side of things. So the conditions are just right for those thunderstorms to develop. Got warm, unstable air and lifting action aplenty. You know, it's funny, as I think, given the nose attitude here, I'm still climbing. I think the plane is still climbing right now. I'm just fighting that much to get the altitude I need. Most of it's to save fuel. I didn't want to have to buy any more fuel. Oh, you also stream on Twitch? Roblox, huh? And my other parrot's come to visit, but she doesn't want to get down off the TV. Are you being camera shy? All right, some more of the DSLR footage. Aha, here we go. Here's some good stuff. Okay, so we're getting to the point where I'm looking at the ADS-B data on my iPad, and it's a good thing that I have it. I love the added situational awareness it brings to have the iPad with ADS-B. I have a Stratux, not a Stratus, so I have the budget version because I am a budget pilot, hence the 1970s carbureted Cessna I'm flying, right? Anyway, so I noticed that there's a thunderstorm right over the top of Centennial Airport, which is my home airport. So I'm not getting in. And I told the controllers, because I had a flight following going on right now, I said, hey, I'm going to kind of orbit over here by Lyman, which is the airport beneath me, somewhere here. I said, I'm going to hang out over here and figure out what I'm going to do. Because with the weather the way it is, I don't think I'm getting in, right? And then I heard that there was a plane operating around Lyman doing parajumping operations, right? And instead of creating extra hazards where there doesn't need to be any, I opted to go ahead and land and wait for the storm to pass. And so that's what I'm doing here. And it looks like first is the DSLR footage of the landing. So wobbly camera effect. Manually done. Here we go. Over the numbers and start the flare. There wasn't a whole lot of wind in this situation. All right, so this is the Amcrest footage. So there's the windmill farm again. I think this is some of the coolest footage that came out of the flight. You can just see how many there are. I mean, this is massive. All these windmills everywhere out here. And it's a good place for it because the wind speed is pretty high out there. You see here that this is the orbiting I was telling you about. I'm just making these nice shallow turns, kind of coming around, just trying to kill some time in the flight, figure out what the next move is going to be. And kind of determining that, you know, I don't have all the fuel in the world to be hanging out. So again, another reason for that landing, to conserve fuel. And it's really a good thing that I did because I'd be running away from a thunderstorm as time goes on if I had stayed up. And it just wouldn't have been productive. Oh, is that it, huh? So I'm waiting for that sensor to cool off a little bit. right, well, do without the webcam for a little bit. It's actually a DSLR. It's the same one I filmed with. Cut that out for a few moments. What a shame. Hey guys, if you're liking the stream so far, I really do want to remind you and encourage you to hit the follow button. It really helps me out. Oh, I can tell it's getting close to the parrot's bedtime because they're dozing off right on top of my TV there, falling asleep. All right, so I believe right around here I'll end up deciding to do the divert. It's when I got on the radio with Center and I said, hey, I'm diverting to Lyman. You cancel my flight following. Oh, that's funny. They want to hang out with me. It's because I'm the cool dad. Our parrots have never killed anything. Well, except for maybe an ant. But those beady little eyes, though. Give it a few more minutes and I'll bring that camera back on the line. Huh, there's a little bit of a skip there. Interesting. Enjoy the footage, guys. I'll be back momentarily. Okay, I'm back. Changing the battery on the camera. That way we can keep on keeping on. Go ahead and bring her back online there. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so here I am, Lyman Airport, good old Lyman. Funny story about this place. Not only have I had to divert here twice for weather, it was the first airport I ever flew to. I was a cadet in the Civil Air Patrol at the time, and got to go on a flight. That was my introduction. I was maybe about 16, 17 years old. Before that, I used to flight sim a lot, so I had already gotten a HOTAS. One I still use to this day, the X52. It had just came out too. I mean, we're talking like 2008, I think, for that. Another cool thing about Lyman, the first time I had to divert here for weather, it was in the middle of the night. I was coming back on a really long flight, and you know, a similar story. Thunderstorms over the Denver area prevented me from getting in, and being the cautious and safe pilot I am, I said, okay, you know what, fine. I'm gonna land, I'm gonna wait. Well, while we're hanging out at the little airport here, a tiny FBO, just completely deserted, dark, middle of the night, nobody around. This little cat comes out to say hello to us. And it's earned the nickname Hangar Cat because there's a little cat door on one of the hangars, and apparently it lives there. But it saw a pilot come out and it said hello. Oh, another thing I hated about this airplane, where it's janky brakes. This thing did not want to steer on the ground, and the differential braking was kind of bad on it, to be honest. So that was another thing that didn't really impress me about this airplane. One thing you'll learn as a pilot is that all these planes have their own personality. Oh yep, here's the King Air that was dropping parajumpers. Using reverse thrusters and everything right there. Or not reverse thrusters, but beta prop. So coming up here in a minute, you'll get to see the return flight, but I did collect a ton of footage of the skydivers. This is some of it right here, because they went on several jumps, a whole bunch of them. And I guess there's a brand new hangar over there at Lyman where they're jumping out of. I didn't even know that operation was there. So this is the most activity I've seen at Lyman in a long time. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my shotgun mic with me, camera, so you're just getting raw audio from the camera's microphone. That good. That looked like a good landing. I even said it there. It looked like it hurt. Me just playing around with the camera for some good track shots and stuff. This is my favorite shot out of the whole flight. You got that really photogenic Cessna. So. More of the skydivers. You can see he takes a hard turn to kill some altitude. Probably realized he was going to miss the airfield. A little bit of a skip there. What happened to the film? But you can see that storm rolling in, can't you? Just above and to the left, those dark, ominous clouds just coming out of nowhere. And what's interesting is that the King Air came back down just as quick as the skydiver did. I want everybody to notice that. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? They almost touched down at exactly the same time. Come here, Luna. Good girl.
Come say goodnight to the birds.
It is their bedtime. All right, here's some of my favorite footage here. So there was a hole in the storm, and I basically sat in the airplane for about 30 minutes or so waiting for the hole. I saw it forming on the radar, and so I took off looking for it, because once you get past this front, it clears up again. It's almost clear as daylight. You'll see that in the footage, just completely clear. And so there were a few things I was considering when I did this, okay? Don't think I just jumped in there and flew through a storm. No. One, I had to see an absence of lightning activity. That was the first thing I was concerned about. And so when I'm looking at all this on the radar, on ForeFlight, let's see if I can pull that iPad back up for you guys here. Hold on. Okay, should be streaming now. Here we go. All right. Actually, okay, so this is what's going on today. Again, another similar situation around the same exact time. We've got all this, thunderstorm activity right over top. But anyhow, oh, you know what? I need to pull up something because I took a screenshot of it. So this is what it looks like on the iPad. You can see all the lightning activity with the little thunderbolts, and when they fade, that is an indication that it's an older radar indication, or not radar, but an older lightning indication. Okay, this is a screenshot of the other day, mainly because I was texting it to my wife so that she knew what was going on. Now let's go back to ForeFlight. All right. Again, you can see it here. All these little lightning returns. Okay. So I needed to find a hole, and it needed to be wide enough. It couldn't just be a couple miles. It had to be, in this case, I believe it was 5 miles is what I ended up finding. Okay. And you can kind of see that here. It's not that big, but it was enough to get me through safely. All right. You can see on the left and right hand side there's rain. but in the middle it was clear.
Yeah, it looks like it all looks like we're storm now.
All right, and here's better footage of that. All right, here's just off alignment on the Amcrest, and you can see it's a little bit more defined now than it was on the DSLR. This is more true to what I saw with my own eyes. Look how dark and ominous the clouds are. We're getting a little bit of rain, but that's not a problem. You can fly in the rain. That's not an issue. Here we go. Scooting along here. All right. This is probably my second favorite footage. The only thing that really made it not my absolute favorite for this flight was the fact that the camera wanted to focus on the raindrops. It really took away from what you could see outside. It's unfortunate, but not really preventable. But as you can see, I mean, it's a pretty incredible view. And you can just see left or right hand side, there's big plumes of rain. I mean, heavy rainfall right in those areas. Now, what I'm doing here by pointing to the far left side of that gap, the reason I did that is because I knew that the storm was traveling south. And I'm going west right now. So from my viewpoint, that storm's going to start traveling to the left. So if I nose pointed left side of the gap, I'd end up mostly centered by the time I get there. Here I'm probably adjusting a little bit for wind. There's a good crosswind. See how fast those windmills down there are moving. Now, the altitude I'm flying at here, I believe I was down at about 7,700. And in this area, puts you a little over 1,000 feet above the ground. So legal for sure. And I had quite a bit of room to go up. I don't know if you can see that, but the ceilings are they're not low at all. I mean, they're way up there. The thing was that there could have been a lot of turbulence up higher, so I opted to stay kind of in the middle and just kind of ride through it like that. Here in Colorado, we're kind of blessed with high ceilings, even during inclement weather like this. just because of the humidity and a few other factors. Things up higher. I know you guys down at sea level and stuff, you experience some weather phenomenon that means a lot more IFR days. But yeah, just looking at this, me at, you know, somewhere in the high 700 or 7,000 foot range. Those clouds kind of look like they're maybe about 10, 11,000 right there. So plenty of overhead. There I go again. I'm banking a little bit left, myself pointed to the left side of the gap. I don't know if you can see, but just beyond it, it's almost clear as day. And even though it's a bit washed out, camera and ISO settings and whatnot, just off to the right side of the screen, you can see some of the mountain right there. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the iPad feed again. You guys can appreciate the full view here. Now, that storm off to my left there looks pretty heavy. That is some serious rainfall. At some point, I'd like to be able to do something like this again, but get much higher quality footage. I just thought about this. I haven't really mentioned seat I'm sitting in, but a trip to the junkyard, plus a little bit of lumber and some screws, and I got myself a good flight sim chair. All right, we're waiting for the camera to come. All right, so we're basically through that first wall, and what you're seeing out in front is kind of like a J-hook that storm was taking. So I've actually just got to fly. No. Yeah, okay. So just kind of off to the center of the screen, it's an isolated cell that's raining pretty heavy. It looks like the video gets a little blurry here. Oh man, just look at that view. Get a system stutter there again. Gotta figure out what happens with hang-ups. Okay, so kind of wrapping up the flight here. All right, this is Centennial Airport. What you're seeing here is to the north of it. That's Cherry Creek State Park with the big old lake right there. It's not really that big of a lake, actually. It's especially for some of you guys that live out east. That's nothing compared to some of the lakes you guys have. But anyhow, there's a clear blue sky. This is just behind that frontal storm. So just completely clear over here. I know, this footage is kind of tough to watch. See if the landing looks any better. Alright, there's the Rocky Mountains off in the distance, the Front Range. And here we go. Coming up on final. Again, the zoom's all the way in here, which is not the way I would have chosen to film it. But, alright, you can see the PAPI lights there. They're all white, showing that I'm high, but that's kind of normal. I like to do these approaches high, especially in the Skyhawk. Once you cut the throttle, you drop. See, look at that. I'm already at normal path. Down below it, I'm gonna go right down over the numbers. Start my flare. And on the ground we go. It's like that. Left on Alpha 4. Here's some of that footage, looks like from the Amcrest. Come forward a little bit here. So I found a place with some light precipitation. Again, it's fine. I can actually see through it. I don't know if you can tell that, but the terrain is right behind it. And clear skies right behind that. Fly through it. Little car wash there. And it looks like about a minute later, we're right in the clear. I didn't notice this before, but it looks like the water got through the dash too. Interesting. Look how gorgeous it is on the other side too. I love this area because it's got like these rough ridges and they're very photogenic. So here I hit a big wave of turbulence. Just whoosh right over me. And just like that, it was over. But judging by the definitions that they give you for turbulence, this one probably wouldn't have even been moderate. It'd be like kind of between light chop and moderate, I'd say. It's enough to startle me a little bit, but I still had control of the airplane, and while it pitched up like that, it was very easy to just put it back down and roll the wings level, and everything was fine. So it was definitely not beyond the capabilities of the airplane to handle. But from a fixed camera like that, it just looks like it was pretty rough. Okay, here I'm descending because I'm actually nearing the Class Bravo airspace again. So now it's time to start determining what altitude I'm going to need. In this case, I went down to 7,800. So I was below that 8,000. Now, if you're familiar with VFR cruising altitudes, right? When you're going east, it's an odd plus 500. When you're going west, it's an even 1,000 plus 500. However, when you're within a 3,000 foot distance between the ground and you, that rule doesn't apply. I would suggest that you use it when you can because it helps keep traffic separated and it's a little bit more of a safety margin. But in this case, there's not a lot of space between the ceiling of the Class Bravo and the ground. And so I wanted to stay up high, but not break Class Bravo. So 7,800, it's a comfortable altitude beneath it, that if there's a little bit of an altimeter error, I'm not going to get flagged by some violation or anything like that. We're comfortably inside those limits. All right, so we're reaching the end of the footage collection here. This, I believe, is a much better camera angle for the landings. It's coming down. There's Cherry Creek off in the distance, just like earlier. They've already cleared me to land. I was like the only plane coming in at that moment. They've already cleared me. I'm just making a nice good box pattern and looking to get over the runway. Now, something you couldn't tell in the DSLR footage because of the zoom and everything was the fact that I like to kind of dog-ear the final. So turn from base to final is actually more like a one continuous turn rather than a box. And the reason for this is because Centennial has two parallel runways, and they're kind of close to each other. And it'd be very easy with the right wind conditions, make your turn late and end up crossing that other runway. And I feel it's just safer to kind of cut in early and adjust power accordingly. Actually, off to the left here, you can see runway 28, 1028, which is the one I took off from, in case I'm facing towards runway 28. In though is why this camera seems to predominantly film better to the right hand side versus the left. I don't know, maybe there's a scratch on the... I'll have to check it out. But again, here's the M crest again. Taking some of the best footage I captured that day. Whereas the GoPro I had to toss a bunch and the DSLR I had to toss a bunch. Okay, there's the base. Delaying the turn a little bit, and you can see me start to descend more here now that I know that I'm going to make that turn. And I know I'm going in for a steep approach, but I don't mind. Like I said earlier, it's kind of my preference. If I lost the engine, I'd have more altitude right now to try and maintain you know, a landing on the runway. Now here, now that the sun is not a factor and we're just at the right lighting, you can just see how great this camera is in the right condition. Look at that view. That is extraordinary. You got everything in view here. Storms in the distance, the Rockies. You got runway 17 left right in front of us. And green from the grass during the summer. I love it. There's my home airport, Centennial. Final landing of the day. Ground effect now, just holding that nose up. Up a little more, and boop. There we go. Done. It's done. Stick a fork in it. Look at that view. I'm gonna have to recycle this footage for something. I can't let that go to waste. I mean, look at how good that is. Again, guys, if you like what you've seen here today, please follow the channel and come back to see me again. Next stream, I'm probably going to be doing X-Plane again, and I'm looking for some of you guys to come back. There I can get a little bit more in depth with some of the skill building and things that we'll need, whether or not you're a flight simmer or, you know, a good old-fashioned stick and rudder pilot out in the real world. There's some information that we can share and learn from. You know? You know, it's funny, I didn't notice this before, but there are a ton of Skyhawks sitting on this ramp. There's like maybe 3 or 4 other planes there, but the rest are all Skyhawks. That's funny. Now here I kind of give it the gas and then turn it because it's a lot easier for me to park the airplane that way. But here we go. Time for the shutdown. And we're done. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure. I hope to see you all again.